I know you guys have been seeing a bunch of other photographers shoot 120 and get some really clean results, but there is actually downsides to shooting 120 compared to 35. So that's actually what I'm going to be talking about today. Back in January, I ended up buying my first ever 120 film camera, and I've been loving it ever since, but there is a lot of downsides and just like differences between 35, a lot of differences actually. So let's just start at that right now. The first difference that I wanted to talk about between shooting 120 and 35 is the way that you actually shoot. When you were shooting 120, you are usually more intentional about the photos and the shoots that you were doing compared to 35. Whenever I shoot 35, I kind of can just blast through photos and photos just constantly because you end up getting 36 photos per roll compared to like a 6x7 camera like what I have with my RB67, and you only get 10 shots per roll, and it's pretty much the exact same price. So you got to be more picky about the stuff that you shoot, unless if you just have a crazy amount of money laying around and you just want to just waste all of it on film. But I think each photo for me is around like a dollar 25 to like $2.50 per photo, depending on what film stock I'm using. And that's also me just scanning my stuff at home. And if you're actually scanning at a lab, then it is going to be more expensive than that. So it does get really expensive really quick compared to 35. On average, a photo of 35 for me costs around 40 cents per photo, which is not too bad compared to 120. So like I said before, there is a huge difference, and it definitely makes you be more intentional when you're shooting 120. Another thing that I want to talk about too is the size difference. So the camera that I have right now that I shoot 120 with is my RB67, and that thing is a beast of a camera. I have 3 lenses for that thing, and I need to have a Pelican case for that thing. If I didn't have that, I just wouldn't be able to take any of those lenses with me anywhere. So you really need to get a big case in order to carry around that big camera. Compared to if you're shooting 35, you can just have a point and shoot or just like a small SLR, which is what I have. I have a point and shoot and a Nikon F3, and you can easily take that in like a small little camera and take them wherever, and you can just blast photos and you only have to bring like a roll or two depending on where you're shooting and what you're doing. Compared to 120, if you have a big shoot, then you have to bring a bunch of rolls of film because it's 10 shots per roll. I recently went to Yosemite, and I've taken my RB67 like hiking or like walking around before, and it is not comfortable at all. Like at all. It is like 10 times heavier or like even more than that compared to my 35 millimeter film camera, and it is very cumbersome to bring around all the time, especially if you have other lenses that you want to shoot with as well. It is very annoying, but like I said before, the quality is good. So it really depends on the person. On top of that, you also have to use a light meter sometimes whenever you're shooting with a 120 film camera, because my RB67, there's no batteries on that thing and there's no light meter. So I have to use an external light meter, and you have to learn how to use it properly because it takes a bit of time to actually get used to that. So that was definitely a learning process for sure, but now it is very easy to shoot with it, and I can shoot whatever I wanted, and it goes through pretty quick. But at first, you definitely take a lot of time in order to get the photo or like multiple photos in a scene. So yeah, it definitely is time consuming. So lastly, we're going to be talking about the quality of the photos. So as you know, 35 is a lot smaller than a 6x7 camera. So there is a lot of differences between that. So let me grab a strip of 35 and a strip of 120 to show you the size difference, and there is a huge size difference for sure. So here is a side by side from 120 to a 35 millimeter film camera, and as you can see, the size difference is huge. And let me also pop up the photo side by side as well, because you can really tell when you are scanning the photo, and it is really prominent. I personally scan all of my photos with my mirrorless camera, and you can definitely tell a huge difference whenever you're scanning. Also, when you're printing a 120 film photo, it's going to be a lot sharper and just way better, compared to a 35 millimeter photo, obviously because the negative is going to be way bigger. So it really depends on what you actually care about. Do you care about grain? If you want grain in the photos, a lot of grain in the photos, then you'd probably want to care more about shooting 35 compared to 120, because whenever you're shooting 120, if you're shooting with a 6x7 camera, you're going to have way less grain compared to a 35mm film photo as well. So you also got to figure out if you actually care about the grain or not. There's definitely stylistic choices between 35 and 120, but it is way easier to shoot 35. And if you just want to shoot film just to have fun and just document yourself, then that would definitely be the way to do it rather than 120, because 120 I feel like is more of a professional, like, I don't know, just if you care about quality more, then I would recommend shooting 120. So there's my quick breakdown of if you actually should shoot 120 or not. And if you actually want to go through this, then I would recommend going and buying a film camera from Japan, because that's where I got mine and it works really well. And I actually got mine when I was in Japan, so that was also, a bit easier because I could actually see what I was buying. But Japan usually has like all of the best film cameras out there, so if you guys want to buy anything, then I would recommend going on eBay and checking it out. They break down like all of the specifics between, like, if there's haze or anything like wrong with the photo or wrong with the camera, then you can easily tell. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.